ready. This is going to be exciting.
And we got a restart zone to go. Green flag is out and we're underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.
Welcome Goat Locker Racing fans to Season 9 of the Truck Series, brought to you by Operation Valor. We have a great 10-week regular schedule ready to go, and kicking things off naturally, it's the World Center of Racing, Daytona, right here live on V-Speed. Hello everybody and welcome inside the broadcast booth. I'm Logan Threlkeld, and joining me in the booth tonight is Sky Shrek as our co-commentator, and Eddie Smith behind the scenes, working the controls as our producer. Just a few weeks ago, we crowned Jeremy Gardner as the Season 8 champion after an all-out battle at Darlington. This year, Gardner will look to protect that title and be the first driver in the Truck Series to claim back-to-back championships. Sky, glad to have you here tonight. You ready for some good hard racing here?
It's going to be a ton of fun. Daytona is always a great place to start a season, but we've got a lot of races coming up too, not just tonight, but over the next few weeks. Like you said, 10-week regular season. We're starting it at Daytona. We move to Iowa next week, Kansas in the Dash for Cash, Milwaukee Mile, Las Vegas, and Rockingham through the month of February. We go road racing at Lime Rock Park on March 7th, with Darlington, Dover, and Nashville making up the final 3 races before we start the playoffs. Richmond and Charlotte is the round of 12, Homestead and Martinsville is the round of 8, and finally, for our championship race on May 9th, we will be at Texas Motor Speedway. It's a great season, wide variety of racing and racetracks, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And looking from the rest of the season to tonight, we're racing at Daytona. Track first opened in 1959, 2.5 miles in length, the famous 31 degrees of banking through the turns, and 18 degrees on the tri-oval. This track is iconic in all of racing. Great place to start a season, and it's going to be a lot of fun here tonight, Logan.
It absolutely is. Very much looking forward to it. The last time the Goat Locker Truck Series was here at Daytona, that was back in Season 7, where Michael Kostick took home the win. Season 8, they started out with Talladega, who the Season 8 champion took that win. So it's going to be a battle out here on the field tonight. But let's send it over to Navy vet Jared Ashley for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And just while we have some time, let's go ahead and give our shout out to our veteran spotlight here, Brian Frog Frauheiger. Brian served in the U.S. Army from 2001 until 2013. He deployed to Iraq in support of OEF and OIF with the 1st Battalion, 293rd Infantry Regiment. As a 50 cal turret gunner, he provided convoy security in his assigned AOR. And we are proud to have Brian here at Goat Locker and look forward to watching his progression as he begins his sim racing journey. Thank you very much, Brian, for your service. It is obviously much appreciated here in the Goat Locker community, and we have multiple drivers out here tonight with their driver cams. Jake Ellingson up there in that top left, George Jewell on cam. Naturally, Chuck Pegleg Feltz up there. Man, that is one bad dude. Patrick Drabick, Logan Sturgeon, newcomer TJ Peters, and Mike McCarthy all on cam tonight. We'll get them bounced around as we get through this race. But qualifying has concluded here tonight. We'll get right into our grid. Taking home our Jam Printing and Promotion Pole Award tonight, Michael Kostick in the 3. The last time he was here, he took away the win. So congratulations, Michael, for that Jam Printing and Promotion Pole Award. Next to him, Chuck Feltz in the 75. Takes that 2nd spot on the front row. In the 2nd row, Jeremy Gardner, the Season 8 champion, in the 42 in 3rd. Jonathan Cofield will start out here in 4th in the 53. Mike George in the 29, he'll start in 5th, next to Jacob Ellingson in the 27. Jamie Mullins in the 66 will start out here in 7th, next to Daniel Cunningham in the 91. Last but not least in our top 10, Jamie Barkus in the 15, next to Michael McCarthy in the 22.
Starting in 11th tonight, it's going to be Patrick Drabick in the 07, TJ Peters to his outside in the 46. Stephen McDonald's going to roll off 13th tonight with George Jewell in 14th. Brandon Wallace starting 15th with Matt Knights in 16th. Logan Sturgeon in the 26 car rolls off 17th with James Goshen 18th in the 85. And rounding out your top 20 tonight will be Levi McCarty in the 24 and Jake Ham in the 87.
In 21st, we have the Duke, David Duke in the 78 next to Mike Bertosa in the 43. James Kaufman in the 25 will start out here in the 23rd position next to Tyler Justice in the 33. Michael Seymour in the 37 takes the 25th starting spot next to Chance Taylor in the 14. 27th will go to Timothy Stubblefield in the 92 next to Jesse Necula in the 28th position. Last but not least for our 30-car field here tonight, we have Josh Lokenvitz in the 79 and Jamie Perkins in the 88. Got a lot of drivers out here from last season, some newcomers out here this season. It's going to be a good, hard battle here tonight as the pace truck is rolling off of pit road now. We'll have this one pace lap here. Race analysis on the screen. 60 laps here for tonight. Pit road speed of 55 miles per hour. 4 tire sets available. 2 green-white checkered attempts at the end of this race if needed. 100% fuel load with the Makoni fixed setup here for tonight. And our pit window will be right around that 30 to 35 lap mark. So we got to discuss that with some of our drivers here pre-race. So should be a one-stop race here tonight, Sky.
Yeah, only one stop. Even if we get a caution, pit window is just past halfway, so no way you can make it all the way to the end. These cars are coming out of turn 2 right now. It's going to be a great race tonight. As you said, 60 laps. And as the lights are off on the pace car heading down the back straightaway, we're getting close to the green flag on a new season.
The lights are off on the pace truck, but the lights are on here at Daytona. Perfect time to have a night race here. It's a wonderful way to start off the season here in the Goat Locker racing community. Really looking forward to seeing what these drivers have in store for us tonight in the Operation Valor Racing Truck Series. These cars will start to make their way through turns 3 and 4, only moments away from the green flag. Sky, is there anything that you have in store here for tonight? Any picks that you'd like to take out of the field?
Man, I don't know. You mentioned there's so many drivers who have won over the last couple of years in the series. It's a really wide open field, especially at a track like Daytona, which is famous for cars coming from the back and underdog upsets. I think pretty much anybody could get it done today. It's going to be completely wide open.
It very much will as the pace truck comes down off the track into the pit road. Coming to that Geico restart zone, and we are away for the first race of Season 9 at Daytona. Lap number 1 is in the books as Michael Kostick will take the first lead lap of the new year. Chuck Phelps right there to the outside, giving no ground and takes away the number 1 position for the time being. Kostick back out in front here. Kostick, Phelps, Gardner, Cofield, George, Ellingson, Mullins, Cunningham, Barkus, McCarthy.
Still side by side, staying pretty nicely tucked in those 2 rows right now. Haven't seen anyone really try to drop out or run at the back yet. They've all stayed in the pack right about where they started. It's lap 2 of a 60-lap race, so you've got time to make some moves. Right now, it's a little early. These drivers are just staying in line and trying to push each other to the front.
As the only thing here to do is Chuck Phelps will take a lap lead here for him. Takes lap number 2. Like you said, not a whole lot of action as of right now, but very long race here tonight. No need to make any unnecessary movement that could cost your race early. We will see these drivers make at least one pit stop here tonight, hopefully under green flag conditions. Goat Locker always notorious for having good, clean races. We'll see if they can make this happen here at Daytona. Always notorious for the big one, Sky.
For sure. You're watching the InVets in-car with Chuck Phelps there as he drives on the lead of the outside lane, currently in 4th as that inside lane has started to pull away, but coming down the front straightaway, he's making some time back, being pushed by that 53 of Cofield back there. Those cars are together on the outside lane, and they're starting to get a little bit of momentum to inch back towards Kostick and Gardner, who are the 1-2 on the inside line.
One thing to note here, tire wear hardly a factor at a track like this, so that outside line, once they can start building momentum, they'll have a good charge up to the front. and ultimately put Feltz in the lead if he can stay in front of that 53 of Cofield. The 27 in tow, Ellingson. That top line needs to tighten up just a touch. As you can see, that bottom line between Caustic, Gardner, and George, they are nose to tail. The top line, a little bit of spacing there, not allowing that draft to take full form and get these drivers up to the front of the pack.
Yeah, past those first 6 cars, that's really where the gap in that outside line is kind of being formed. It's Matt Knight's back there running mid-pack right now, who's really hanging back from the cars in front of him, and that's not helping that top line get momentum. He's starting to close up a little right now, but still keeping a pretty safe distance to the car in front of him. It's going to be up to those first 6 cars to try to get Feltz back to the front, and they're doing that right now. He's side by side with Kostek.
We saw that momentum start to form as you were saying that. Caustic not giving any room for Gardner to make a pass around. Gardner may just try to hold this position and keep pushing Caustic. Obviously, being in the draft is a big bonus on the fuel saving as well. Caustic will be burning a whole lot more fuel than Gardner and all those other drivers in tow. Feltz still in the lead of that top line. Caustic's still in the lead of the race. We'll see if anybody will start making moves. A little bit of a wiggle there from the second row on the outside line. Cofield fell back in right behind Feltz.
They're starting to tighten it up a little there, but Caustic's still getting away at the front of the field. One thing to note about those pit stops is that once these guys run out of fuel, I think you're going to see a lot of cars come with. Everybody wants to be in the draft. They want to have other cars around them to help them go faster. So on the pit stops, you're going to see pretty much all of these cars are going to try to come down together in one big pack because it'll help them find speed. You're looking at TJ Peters on the Invets in car right there back in 13th. A couple cars back on the outside, but he's still doing his part to push the line and try to get Feltz closer to the front.
TJ Peters, newcomer to the league here tonight. Happy to have him joining the Goat Locker family for these races. As you can see, he's got the Goat Locker Racing hoodie on. You can find that on their merch store. Caustic, Gardner, Feltz, George still all battling for this lead position right now. Nobody giving any sort of room. Nobody really looking to take any room either, as we've mentioned a couple times so far. Seems everybody is pretty content with just being where they're at and turning laps for at least this first half of the race. The pit stops will put some sort of a twist on things later on. Surely we'll see multiple strategies. We might see some undercut attempts. We might see some overcut attempts. But ultimately, like you mentioned, Sky, we have to stick as a pack together if you want to have any chance of doing anything. A little bit further back right now, we've got the 87 of Ham, the 33 of Justice, and the 92 of Stubblefield, who have lost the pack, but they are working together right now. Not as tucked up as they'd like to be, surely, but they're still close enough that they can make that charge back up and catch up to the rest of these drivers.
Yeah, there's a few couple cars that have lost the pack and are going to run off by themselves. You've also got Bertosa and Necula back there in the pack of their own. Those guys maybe a bit intentionally dropping back early. As you said, the big one can happen at Daytona, and if it happens early, you just don't want to be involved. So it can sometimes be a strategy play to just hang out at the back of the field, wait for the big crash to happen, sneak through it unscathed, and then you'll have a chance once we hit the white flag.
At this point, this group does have the best chance to get around this without any damage gained. Taking a look back up here towards the middle of the pack. Caustic still in the lead on that low line. The top line still unable to really put together a big run to put Feltz back up there in the top contending spot. But they are in a great position, these trucks, giving plenty of room to each other side by side. Not looking to cause any issues early on.
Yeah, not too impressive yet, although we do have Cofield kind of looking on the outside of Feltz there, but he'll tuck right back into line, maybe trying to cool the nose of that car. When you stay tucked in to the car in front of you, it can be really easy to overheat the engine, lose power, and if you do it enough, eventually blow the car up entirely. So you've got to make sure that you're getting some clean air on the nose. You're not just right on the bumper of the car in front of you the whole way around. And it can kind of be a little tricky getting a balance between pushing and keeping your car cool so it's going at its maximum efficiency.
That is exactly why you'll see some of these drivers step out to the outside or sometimes the inside of these corners. That'll give them plenty of air going through the corner to cool that truck off just enough to keep it from overheating. We have seen it a time or two in a couple other leagues where the leader, or second place rather, will ultimately rapidly disassemble the motor unintentionally. So it's never a good time to have that, especially up in the front of the field. But right now, Caustic's still charging ahead with Gardner in tow. George right behind Gardner. Pretty well no movement so far in the field. A little bit of lane switching further back in the pack here, opening up some gaps there on the top line, allowing some of these drivers to gain positions, catching up to the driver in front of them.
Yeah, still a pretty big gap there on the outside, and I think that's because you're seeing more and more cars just funnel down to the bottom, getting a little single file. The more cars that drop down there, the harder it's going to be for this outside line of Feltz and Cofield to keep up. They're still sitting about third or so, but at no point has Feltz managed to actually drive it up to Caustic and lead a lap. So he's kind of just been stuck back there side by side with George or Gardner for second or third, and not really able to take any sort of lead here.
Feltz still charging away here at the top line, finally gaining some ground on Caustic as Feltz back into second place momentarily. Lost it with a little bit of momentum, lost into the corner. On your screen right now, the 27 of Jacob Ellingson, that Lincoln Tech truck. Speaking of Lincoln Tech, perfect time to give them a quick shout out. They have sponsored the entire spring series, all 7 races every single week. Lincoln's mission is to provide superior education and training to our students for in-demand careers in a supportive, accessible learning environment, transforming students' lives and adding value to their communities. They are one of the largest automotive technology schools in the nation with 23 campuses. They are the title sponsor of the Spring Series, as mentioned, and a very large partner of Goat Locker Racing.
We thank them for all that they do for this series and this league. Their driver running back there in 9th right now, stuck a little bit back on the outside, still pushing that 75 car of Feltz, who's now had somebody jump up in front of him. It's Gardner moving up to the outside line. So we got a new leader on the top. We'll see if the addition of an extra car up there is able to make some progress to get those guys towards the lead.
Gardner saw the opportunity to take the lead at the top line, and he did so with no hesitation. Like you said there, Sky, we'll see if Gardner can lead this top line back up there to be side by side with Caustic, who's still completely in control of this race. Right now on board with Patrick Drabick. Drabick a few rows back here. No, not doing too bad. 15 laps into this race, 14 rather. Drabick, always a top competitor in here, as well as that 27 of Ellingson. Ellingson just had some horrible bad luck last year. Hopefully looking to turn it around this year for the 2017. Put some podiums on the board for that Lincoln Tech truck.
Yeah, and those two cars were side by side, but Ellingson was able to get the advantage because the outside line has gone on the move. Gardner's taken that top lane to the lead of the race right now. Caustic's trying to fight back on the inside, but he's not quite there. So it's a 1-2 tandem of Feltz and Jeremy Gardner taking that top line equal with the bottom for the first time in about 10 laps now, and they're going to try to get clear down the back straightaway.
Gardner, as mentioned, saw the opportunity, and he also found just a little bit more speed for this top line. Might have put the foot through the floor a little bit more. Gardner falls back just a touch. We'll see if he can beat Caustic to the start-finish line here this time by. He does take the lead at the moment. And Gardner will take a lap lead. Big bonus point for the 42 team. Always come down to being a matter of mere points whenever it comes to the championship.
Yeah, third lap he's led tonight out of 17, doing a pretty good job there on that top, trying to keep the progress going on that top lane. Feltz, you can see him get to the bumper there and push that 42 out fully clear of the 3 Acoustic, and now he's going to jump back down to the inside lane. Gardner going to take the push from Feltz and kind of hang him out to dry there on the top. He'll move back down with Caustic to the lead of the race.
Luckily, Feltz not losing too much momentum there as that truck behind caught up so quick whenever you lose the draft of the person in front of you. Now, Gardner in the lead of that bottom line, Caustic in tow. First real move of the race so far, Sky, and it was perfectly executed by Gardner.
Yeah, it was a really good move to get to the front there and put himself in front of those 3 cars up front. Now we got another car switching lanes further back. That's Ellingson. He got up to the top and was able to move down to the bottom, inserting himself as the 4th car on that inside line. So he'll slot in there. A pretty good move for him. It's still Feltz and Cofield pushing on the top, but with more cars starting to abandon ship to the inside, might be a little more difficult on them.
It's always smart to try and see if you can get just one line formed around Daytona. That is the safest way to get around this track. It might be a touch boring whenever it gets to that point, but it's not boring so far as we are still side by side, 7 rows deep.
Yeah, I
still
don't think
leading that outside line.
I don't think these drivers are going to want to go single file right now, especially with how many cars are in that outside lane that would have to take a jump down to the inside. There's not enough spaces for all those guys to fit into unless they want to start moving towards the back. So that outside line is going to push it for as long as they can, irregardless of how many cars are ringing the bottom right now.
You are absolutely correct, but one thing we do have to take into account for, we're inching closer to that pit window we mentioned at the beginning of the race. Somewhere around lap 30 to 35 is what we have for the fuel run. So we're still, like I said, a few laps away from that, but you'll start seeing some of those drivers make their way down to the bottom, especially if they want to go for the undercut here tonight.
Yeah, a little bit of a hole there right now, opening up between George and Ellingson. 3rd and 4th cars on the bottom, but no one's going to try to pull down and take it because right now, Feltz has been able to even it out with Gardner. Chuck Feltz still being pushed there on the top. And you're going to see Cofield try to go to the middle, 3 wide. And Feltz is getting turned in front of the field.
That'll be our first caution of the night. Multiple trucks collected here. And it has panned out perfectly for that group that we saw early on break off and stick way back in the back. They'll be able to stack back up here for a restart. But they are completely clean with that move. The rest of this field, they're all going to catch a little bit of damage, it seems.
Yeah, you can see it here on our replay. This is going to start with Cofield running in a 4th place at the time. He'll look to the inside of Chuck Feltz, and there's really just not enough room for 3 cars there. Feltz is going to get turned, and it's going to trigger a chain reaction that sends 1 car into the air further back and about 8 or 9 cars taking some pretty substantial damage in the tri-oval on that accident.
There was just enough room for Cofield to stick the nose of the truck in there, but that gap closed quickly. So 22 catches some damage, spinning the 75 of Feltz a little bit more. A lot of tires are going to have some flat spots from that. A lot of trucks are going to have some damage that they'll have to get repaired here during these pace laps, and hope that they can make it back out onto the track in time with enough damage repaired that it's not going to affect the drafting ability. Otherwise, they are at risk of losing the pack rapidly. That is not what you want to do at all. But while we have it, since it's our first caution, let's give a big shout out to Charles Albert, Goat Locker member, running the race control for us here to now. I apologize, Charles, that is Abert. Misread the name, but Charles Abert running race control here for tonight. We thank you for doing that for us and helping out the Goat Locker community.
Yeah,
Remember,
while
go
we
ahead,
were
Sky.
I was gonna say while we were talking about that accident, we were talking about the 53 car, Jonathan Cofield right there. That Save 22 sponsored machine, another company that does a lot to help out in Goat Locker racing. Save 22 is a 501c3 organization dedicated to preventing suicide among veterans, active duty personnel, and first responders. Their unwavering mission extends to 4 critical pillars: shield, assist, volunteer, and educate, or save, on that Save 22 car. We thank them for all they do, and you're seeing their car come into the pits right now.
One thing to note, we mentioned it at the beginning of this race, the series does not have any fast repairs available. So we're going to be spending some time here with these drivers in pit road, getting damage repaired, as it is a race off of the stall.
Yeah, a lot of cars. I think pretty much the full field coming down there. I wonder if you can make it to the end on this stop, or if there might be some fuel saving that goes on this second run, just to ensure everybody can get to the end, because it looks like we're just outside the fuel window right now. But at a track like Daytona, where we might get some more cautions and it's feasible to save fuel, I think it's probably worth it for everyone to make the stop here instead of trying to do it under green.
It very well is. You can lose a lot of ground going under green, but they are at risk of maybe not making that fuel window. At this point, I would have to assume that they will need another caution throughout this race to be able to save enough fuel, at least per our data from the drivers pre-race. About 30 to 35 laps on a fuel run. So right now, we're so close. It's hard to say at the moment.
Yeah, and I don't think you could just stay out there, because then you'd be coming down under green and every other car came down. So even if you wanted to try to stay out, you're going to have to bring it down, because if you go down under green, you're not going to have any draft and you're going to be alone a lap down. So everybody kind of having to come down all at once. There's really no choice for these drivers if they want to stay in the race, even though it might leave them a little bit short to the end.
We'll just have to keep turning laps here, Sky, and see what all plays out for these drivers that have pit. We'll see if any of these drivers have what it takes to make it to the end without any issues. We might see a rolling race to the end of this race. We'll see who can roll across the start-finish line with the most speed, at least.
Yeah, especially with, again, just outside the fuel window, the pace lights are off, so we're going to be going back green on lap 25. These drivers might have to stretch it. I would not be surprised if we see something similar to what they do in the Cup Series in real life, where you're just running ever so slightly off pace every lap to save a couple laps of fuel so that everybody's good to the end. It wouldn't put it past me if you see some cars try that, just saving a little fuel, not keeping right up to the bumper of the car in front of them, and making sure that at least if this race ends as scheduled on lap 60 and we don't get any green-white checkers, they'll be good to the end.
With that being said, we do have some of these drivers that are paired up in teams, so we might see some of these drivers work together and run about anywhere from 85 to 90% throttle and stay drafted together, bounce back and forth in position. That way that lead car doesn't use up too much fuel to make it to the end. We'll just have to wait, find out. There are quite a few of these drivers that are all working together already with the draft. It's only time will tell. That's all I can really say about that.
Yeah, the cars are going to move through turns 3 and 4 here, and the pace car will pull off this time by. And that's what we're going to see. Are we going to go green to the end of the race? Are these drivers going to be helped out in their fuel mileage by some extra cautions along the way? Are they going to be hurt in their fuel mileage by some green-white checkers moving the finishing lap back? That is all to be decided over the next 35 laps, and the pace car is going to pull off right now.
And pace truck coming down pit road now. Gardner will lead us to the in-vets restart zone. And as he does that, we're going to crank it up and let you hear the roar of these trucks going around Daytona. Mike Bertosa takes a spin through the backfield grass in the 43, losing all of the ground that he had, back to the 27th position.
Yeah, he'll drop all the way back, all the way out of the draft, too. And no caution in that incident is going to put him in a lot of trouble. You're going to see it on our replay here. He is going to be stuck all alone, single file at the back of the field. No help from anybody as he tries to get himself back on to the front. It looks like he might have just gotten a little loose into 3 and took a little bit of a unplanned detour through the grass.
Yeah, it looked like that truck that dropped down to that bottom line right in front of him had a little bit of a checkup. Bertosa just a little bit too hard on the brakes in that sequence, but Gardner still in the lead here. Kostick sitting in second, George in third, Drabick in tow, and Ellingson in that 27.
Gardner still in the lead right now in that bright yellow car, running the inside. Pretty similar story to what we saw at the end of the last run, where the inside line gets a couple cars ahead, and the top line is just not able to get quite as far up as they might want in order to try to contend for the lead of this race. That outside's being led by Mike George right now, and he's being pushed by Jacob Ellingson. They're going to get a little bit of a run down into the corner, and we'll see if that 29 can even it out with Gardner and try to steal some laps led.
They had a nice run into that corner indeed, just not enough to get up there next to the 42. On board right now with Jacob Ellingson sitting second in that outside line. A little bit of a peek to the outside for Ellingson, Shirley just trying to get some air on the nose, cool this truck down. So step out just a little bit more here. It does hurt the draft whenever they do that, but ultimately you have to save the truck to the end of the race.
For sure, you can't use it all up early. Can't get any damage early, because if you do, it might hurt your ability to draft. You lose the pack entirely, go to the rear, or you might get enough damage that it takes you out of the race and you go laps down. Ellingson running a little bit higher to cool the front end of his truck, but that's going to hurt the draft. And they do a little bit of a wiggle there, but George losing positions as Ellingson tries to cool his radiator on front of that car.
One thing you have to worry about in that second spot too, where we kind of saw it earlier with that first caution, once you get out of line, the truck in front of you is going to lose some momentum, and you can get side by side very easily, which complicates things for everybody behind you. If they're not expecting a car to fall through the field on the middle line, it can definitely shake things up.
For sure. You're seeing everybody run pretty steady right now, too wide. There's just a little bit of a gap between those cars on the inside, on the outside. You're seeing McDonald run pretty far back. Just not as organized as the inside is, and that's really hurting their ability to push to the front. It's why they keep falling off down these straightaways and through the corners. They just don't have as many cars put together as they need to be.
Although we are spread out, we're still saying side by side as the bottom line starts to create some gaps between the trucks as well now. Right now, Ellingson all over the back bumper of George. There's not an inch of room. You couldn't fit a piece of paper between those trucks.
No, he is right on the bumper, making that car move to the front right now. And they're going to pull away a little bit more from George and Ellingson, who are trying to push back on the outside, but still a little bit of a gap back there between the third and fourth cars on the outside are hurting them. They tend to get it pretty evened out by turn 1 or so on the entry, but they lose it again exiting 4.
And then as mentioned previously, it's all a part of that. You see it right there, the 27 stepping out of line to get the nose some clean air. That slows up the 29, gathers back up to the back bumper. They'll get the run down the back stretch. Not quite as much as I expected here, but the 29 catching back up to the 3 of Kostick. They're going to lose it all again right here where Ellingson steps out. And again, just no real help from behind Ellingson. You could fit another truck right there. It's not a gap that's being closed currently. It's a safe play, but it's not fast.
No, not at all, because every time Ellingson moves out of line to cool that front bumper, you're seeing George lose like at least a car length on Gardner and Kostick right there. Running 1-2. We got a lap car a little bit further up the road. I believe that is going to be TJ Peters, who's running the wall. These cars are going to have to move down to the yellow line to get around that wounded 46 car, and for the time being, they will.
46 of Peters caught a lot of damage in that first caution there. That is why you're seeing him a lap down, unable to complete all the necessary repairs. You can see it there on the hood, crinkled, the bumper crinkled. The only thing that's really not, the back bumper.
Yeah, it looks like he got hit in pretty much every other side, and I think there is a little scrape on the back too, so hitting all four corners of that car. It's going to be really hard to fix it when you've got that much damage going on the things. It looks like it's weaving a little too, not even driving fully straight. That's definitely a problem at Daytona. We got another lap car coming up here pretty soon too. As they enter the back straightaway, it's going to be Mike Bertozza running right on the bottom. Another car with a lot of damage, who's lost the pack, gone off the pace, and he will soon drop behind this lead group.
And with that caution, we did lose a couple drivers in this race. David Duke, Matt Knights, Michael McCarthy all out. They could still be down there trying to get some damage repaired. So we have yet another car threaten to go a lap down. Didn't quite catch the number there as they went by.
43 of Bertozza.
Oh, still Bertozza there.
Yeah, that's him right now getting lapped. Ooh, a lot of chaos as they try to get around him on the inside. You saw cars weaving up to the middle there, getting a little squirrely, trying to keep it all straight. Little wiggle out of a couple of the leaders, but no harm, no foul, and Gardner will continue his run on the inside in the lead of this race.
It does shake things up for the back of the pack here as we see a lot more room now. About midway through this field, a little over halfway through this race. So far, just the one caution cleaning green the rest of the way. Right there around lap 22 is where we saw that yellow come out. Good 12-lap run completed here as they come around for the start of lap number 35.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you real quick about another one of the organizations that helps keep this league running. Operation Valor Racing, title sponsor here. They are a race team with the goal of fielding a truck next season in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Veteran-based and focused on helping veterans all across the racing world. They're also heavily involved with many veteran nonprofits to raise awareness and funds, and they are the title sponsor of the series you're currently watching right now. So we thank Operation Valor for their contributions to tonight. And right now, Gardner still leading this race.
Gardner putting on a fantastic showing exactly why he won at Talladega last season, and ultimately the champion of Season 8. But it's Season 9. He's got to defend that title now as Mike George makes his way up to the side of the 42. Challenges for that lead momentarily. Again, falls back about a car length on the entrance. Now 2.
And the car right behind Gardner is the guy who won the race last time we came to Daytona. It's Mike Kostick back there in second in that 3 car. He's pushing the 42 at Gardner. So your last 2 plate track winners are in tandem, running 1-2 on the bottom, 36 laps into this race.
Surely it'll end up being a battle between those two. Talladega winner, Daytona winner. 2 notorious tracks for fantastic racing. Big out for Ellingson. Gathered it back up. Right back in behind George.
Yeah, these cars are so tight together. Any wreck now would really be brutal because you've got so many cars in such a tight space. You're seeing the Invets in car from Jake Ellingson right there. Second car on the inside, really trying to push George to the front. They got a little bit of a run down the back straightaway, but it's not quite enough because Kostick has done such a great job of pushing Gardner out in front. He's going to have to move to the top to cool that radiator, and those 2 cars on the inside will move straight back away.
Jake Ellingson, as mentioned before, horrible luck last season. So far, putting together a fantastic race. Been up here in the top 5 pretty well the entire time. Trucks are starting to get a little bit more wiggle in them. All these drivers able to collect it back together as Ellingson almost to the right rear of the 29 of Mike George. That could have been very dangerous there.
Yeah, and in a lap or so, about halfway down this back straightaway, you've got 2 more lap cars. Brandon Wallace going to go 1 down. Michael Seymour going to go 10 down. So that's 2 more lap cars that these leaders are going to have to contend with and try to get themselves cleanly around. Just another added challenge here at Daytona with 22 to go.
As we've got to move to the outside. That's the 33 of Justice. He'll take the lead of the top line now. Almost came back down into the right rear of Patrick Drabick there in the 07. Almost caught the right side door of the 27 of Ellingson. We're starting to see some shuffling going on, Sky. This is where this race is going to start getting interesting. We are just over 20 laps to go here tonight. Only the 1 caution so far. Fantastic racing. So we've got the 46 of Peters one more time getting lapped by this field. Just too much damage for him to even catch the draft and stay with the pack.
No, there's been quite a few damaged cars out on the track. Here is another one going a lap down right now, a little further up the road. That is TJ Peters right there in the 46 losing a lap. Gardner still out front, but as you said, Justice has jumped to the outside, tried to take him side by side across the line. Finally starting to get a little bit of a help from Mike George, and that's going to let them get into the lead. And Justice is going to go straight back to the bottom to lead the inside lane.
So Jeremy Gardner no longer our race leader. Tyler Justice will claim a couple laps led here, as that bottom line is going to have a lot of momentum compared to that top line, as we see the drivers shuffling around all over the place. Top line finally able to form things back up, catching back up to Gardner at least. Side by side still with the 3 of Caustic.
Yeah, a little bit of a run there on the inside once again as those cars start to get away. Wouldn't be surprised if we see someone else try to jump up to the top. Both cars who have jumped up to the top and then gotten pushed to the lead have immediately gone back down to the inside. They haven't really tried to build a line up there. So right now, while it's still George and McDonald pushing on the outside, if anybody jumps up to the front and tries to get in front of that outside line, I'd imagine that even if they got pushed to the lead, they'd probably just switch back to the bottom, which puts George in a really difficult position right there.
Absolutely, it would, but you have to think, the 33 of Justice made that move. It's difficult to gauge just how much fuel you have left until you make that move. Will he be able to make it here to the end in the lead? But surely we'll see a lot more action here in just a few laps. Drivers will start taking advantage of openings that they see. We'll see that top and bottom line start getting much, much closer. That way you can't allow a driver to sneak up the middle here. While we've got a little bit of a lax in the action for the moment, let's give a quick shout out to Jam Printing and Promotions. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They have been with Goat Locker Racing since the very beginning. Local and veteran certified. When they do well, they do good in the community. Thank you, Jam Printing and Promotions. Also the Pole Award for this series. Gardner still in the lead of this race. Justice still leading that top line. Caustic all over the back bumper of Gardner. Patrick Drabick waiting for an opportunity to get around both of these drivers and claim the first win of Season 9, the Operation Valor Racing Truck Series.
That car down on the inside getting lapped right there is going to be Matt Knights going 11 laps down. He'll pull to the apron. Oh, and he's going to almost rejoin into the field. That was really, really close. He got loose there on the bottom. Luckily, where he came up, it was a gap in between 4th and 5th. And it all worked out okay for that lead group, but that was a very scary moment for Matt Knights.
Very much so. Knights just a little bit too much speed to try to hug that apron all the way around the corner. He caught that yellow line, slid that 64 truck up into traffic almost twice. Almost lost the back end a second time. We're starting to form back up here as that top line is pretty well diminished. We have a massive gap between the top 2 up there. That's still Justice and then the 29 of Mike George in tow. But now finally starting to close things back up. Start seeing this top line push back up to the front, put Justice up there side by side with Gardner.
Yeah, a bit of a gap opened in that inside line with the near miss there as some cars kind of got on the brakes, dropped back to make sure they stayed out of the way. Now they're starting to close back up, and you're seeing these cars get much tighter to each other as we're going to be 16 to go right now. All bets are going to be off pretty soon. This is the part of the race where you got to go. And if you're one of the cars who's hanging out in that big line from about 10th on back, maybe think about making some moves to the top here to try to get something going and get yourself closer to the front of this pack.
You have to think with the experience of winning Daytona in Season 7, Caustic, he has been in complete control of this race, sitting second in line. He's just waiting for a moment, the right moment, to take that 3 up to the lead. We'll see him make some sort of a move, surely. It's going to be a challenging one for Gardner to hold off. But right now, back side by side, Justice up to the door of Gardner. George right next to Caustic.
Yeah, we'll see if Justice can do it again. Get to the lead on the outside with a push from George on the outside and then immediately pull back into line. If Mike George can push that 33 car, Tyler Justice, to the front, I have to imagine Justice might just pull straight back down in front of Gardner like he did last time he got into that situation. A couple cars getting lapped here.
Ooh, and very, very narrow miss there for the 33 with the 46. As we saw Brandon Wallace in the 99, he stayed on the bottom. TJ Peters just holding that wall, letting these cars go by. That was close coming into that corner.
Yeah, you got to wonder if the reason that we have so many cars kind of in a line there at the back hanging out is that they are low on fuel. With the pit stops the way they were, the fuel window on these cars looks like they're supposed to be about 2 or 3 laps short potentially. That's enough to save, but only if you started early. Logan Sturgeon, one of the guys in that big single file pack back there, you're seeing him on the in-car. He is really holding back from that car in front of him. Off the gas, maybe trying to just save fuel so that he has enough if this race goes green to the checkered flag.
Sky, I don't know if you remember, I made a comment a little bit earlier on. If this race was to go green all the way to the end, we might see some of these drivers have to come across the finish line in neutral, or clutch in rather, with no fuel, no power to the ground. Big wiggle here in front of Sturgeon. Luckily collects it back up. He makes his way up to the top line and out of the way. Not catch the number of that driver there, but Chuck Phelps. Perfect. Thank you, Sky.
Hey, he started this race up on the front row. Has kind of been stuck back since the pit stop, having a moment there. You can kind of hear Sturgeon lifting in this car. He's not on the throttle as much as you would expect him to be at a flat-out track like Daytona. He is waiting. He's biding his time. He's going to make sure he has enough fuel to get to the end of this thing. And once he's sure that he does, I think then we're going to see him start to go to the front.
Absolutely. That'll be the moment where we'll see a bunch of these drivers here from the back start to form their own line. Surely by the end of this, we'll see some 3-wide action as we're no more or not much closer to just 10 laps to go.
No, only the one caution so far, 8 lead changes on the race. Right now, it's that 3-car Caustic up front over the 42 of Gardner. Caustic's trying to run that bottom line while Gardner has jumped back up to the outside in front of Justice in the 33. We'll see if Gardner can get the edge down the straightaway. It looks like he will. Caustic leading that inside line. Maybe now that Gardner and Justice are together on the outside, that lane will finally be able to get something going. Never mind, it's Gardner right back to the bottom.
I was just thinking myself, that was a very interesting move for Gardner to get up there to the top line. Could have been a tactic to slow him up, and it surely worked if it was. Nearly 4 cars clear on that bottom row of the top line. The 42 of Gardner, the 3 of Caustic, the 07 of Drabick, and the 27 of Ellingson. Ellingson just unable to get clear and potentially put himself up there on the top line in the lead of that. And start challenging up here towards the front. But the 33 of Justice, He's going to stay in the lead of that top line, and he's going to make a charge here with all 4 cars in tow.
Yeah, Caustic has done such a good job pushing on that bottom, and now Justice is going to split the middle of Caustic, and Drabic can go straight into third on that inside line. That is really going to hurt the top because you've only got 4 cars up there right now compared to everyone else in the race riding the bottom. And now it's 3 because another car's gotten in. It is Mike George, it is Josh Lokenvitz, and it is Jamie Barkas. And they are the only 3 cars riding the top line while every other car in the field rings the bottom.
Tell you what, Sky, you know what this looks like to me? A lot of these drivers are getting to this bottom line to prep for a pit stop.
They might be. I mean, you're seeing so many cars packed on the inside, and you're seeing cars drop back, losing the draft even to a certain extent, just trying to save fuel, doing anything they can to try to get to the end of this race.
As they should. Is a pit stop now under green flag conditions means certain loss. That is not going to work out for these top drivers up here if they cannot make it to the end of this race.
For sure, that outside lane has done a pretty decent job of getting back to the top. But I think that might be in part because you're seeing such big gaps on the bottom line where cars are really, I mean, you can tell, not on the throttle all the way. These guys are hanging back. No one's really pushing the car in front of them. They're all chilling out. And now, here comes our first line of pitters. About half the field is going to come down on lap 52, and a couple cars are going to get the inside wall.
Oh, the 88, the 43 in a slide, barely touching the 88, got into the wall there. Not what Perkins wanted on that entry. Slows up the 43 as well. That is detrimental to their race. They are certainly going to lose this pack once everybody starts making their way out of the pits. And it's going to be the 42 of Gardner leading the charge. A lot of ground to make up here. Some of these drivers have pitted throughout this race. Got a couple drivers up there in the front. Still on about a 30-lap stint right now, so we should see a good chunk of them on the InVets in-car camera on the replay here. Just a little too hard on the brakes for Perkins, and there goes the back end right into the wall. Saw one truck sneak by that, and here comes the tap from the 43.
Yeah, and meanwhile, a lot of more cars have come in. Goshen, McDonald, Cunningham, Mike George, Jonathan Cofield, Mike Kostick, all down pit road right now. Only 4 cars are still out on track. It's Josh Lokenvitz in the lead, Jamie Barkas in second, Patrick Drabic in third, Jacob Ellingson fourth. Those are the only drivers yet to make a pit stop in this race. These pit stops are going to be short. They're fuel only and go. And are they going to come down this time? They will not. So those 4 cars are going to keep running out front.
You saw there the 85 coming out of the pit stall ended up in the grass. Maybe a little bit too hard on the accelerator coming out of the pits. Collected it back up though. Being in the grass, no caution necessary for that. Lokenvitz leads the charge.
And what's really helping these guys is that the guys who are coming out of the pits do not have it together at all. They are struggling right now. George has come out a full second ahead of Cofield, who came out a second ahead of Kostick, who came out a second ahead of Gardner. And all those guys who came out quickly are losing time to the cars behind them as they slowly fall back towards that pack. That time loss from from all but these 4 cars is going to mean that they're able to stay way in the lead right now, and they might be able to gain some time when they do make a pit stop if they can all come out together with 5 to go.
And ultimately, you know, at the same time, less fuel, less time in the pits. So good strategy here from these leading 4. We'll see if it pays off, as they've got a massive gap to the rest of the field, almost 40 seconds. A lot of shuffling happening right now as they're getting around some of these drivers that have already pitted. Ultimately, they're staying together pretty well. Those they're Drabic a little bit further back. Ellingson trying to catch up as well.
They're dicing their way through some lap cars right now, and now here we all go. 5 to go. Everybody coming into the pits. Looked like Lokenvitz became a little late, but car in the inside wall. That is gonna be, I believe, Jamie Barkus in the 15 hitting the wall and speeding a little bit into the pit lane, and that might be the end of his shot at the win of this race.
Big charge up to the inside there, just did not pay off. A little bit of contact there, a little bit harder on the brakes than he wanted to be. Got that truck sideways directly into that pit wall at the left front. As the 07 of Dravik is now out here, coming around the apron. Lokenvitz right behind. They'll have an opportunity to work together here, but that pack is closing in fast. 7 seconds on the board, already down to 6. They'll be catching up here right on the back stretch. We'll see if these cars can navigate these guys, or if it's going to be something crazy here. A lot of wiggling from this pack right now.
Man, we might be 4 wide back there. Look at that. These guys are so close together. And that lead group of 3 cars there, Dravik, Lokenvitz, and Ellingson, for now, have the advantage. 2.5 seconds to that big pack behind them, but it is a big pack behind them. That group has more cars in it compared to just 3 guys doing a tandem around the bottom. So they are inching closer and closer to this 3-car pack in the front of the field. I think they're going to catch them here with about 2 to go.
They absolutely should, and it's going to be a race to the finish. We'll have to wait and see who's going to lead the charge to the start-finish line and claim that checkered flag here in the first race of Season 9, the Operation Valor Truck Racing Series. It has been exciting so far up to this point. Dravik in the lead, Lokenvitz, Ellingson. They've got a whole slurry of race cars behind them, and they are coming up here fast. It's going to be a battle to the end, no doubt.
You're looking on the nose of Kostic right now as he gets within a second and within the draft of these 3 cars at the front. This whole pack behind him, they're all going to catch up to these 3 front cars of Dravik, Lokenvitz, and Ellingson. What are they going to do from there? How are they going to pass these guys? How are they going to navigate having this 3-car tandem all close together? This is going to be a crazy finish to this race with 2 to go. Kostic is down to half a second. He's pretty much there.
These bottom 3 here in the middle of the screen, they have to hope and pray that the outside line does not catch up. As Kostic goes to the outside, the 87 right behind Gardner in the 42, pushing both of them. We're door to door. Lap traffic on the outside. Side by side, coming to the white flag. Dravik in the lead, Lokenvitz in second. It's a battle for third right now, but this outside line has something to put together and chase down Dravik. We'll see if they've got it. 1 lap to go here at Daytona.
Can that outside line get the momentum? That is the question right now for Kostic. He's got a little bit of a run down the straightaway. This might be what does it. Is the 07 going to go up to block? No. Dravik going to stay on the bottom as Kostic evens it out on the top. We're going to go side by side into turn 3 for the win at Daytona. Kostic on the top, Dravik on the bottom, and Kostic is loose.
Big time movement from Kostic, but it's a drag race from here. Lokenvitz looks to the outside, gets to the door of Dravik. Does he have enough? Dravik edges it out and takes home Daytona for the first win of the season.
And they wreck behind him. 3-car almost flips. You can see the energy there from Patrick Dravik. Hyped up as he gets it done. The pit strategy works out perfectly for that 07 car. Waited as long as possible, and you see him excited because he just got the first win at Daytona.
Guy, I tell you what, watching Patrick Dravik race last season, he is always on fire for a win. He notoriously has some of the best celebrations on that driver cam. And congratulations to that driver right there on your screen for winning the first race of the Operation Valor Truck Series.
Man, what a race it was. He's going to burn it down here. There you go. Burn it down the front straightaway. A little bit of contact with the 79, but it's post-race. Incident points don't count. He can burn it down the front straightaway.
You absolutely can. Did not get the Jam Printing and Promotion Pole Award, but he put the Jam Printing and Promotion 07 on the top of the podium here tonight. A couple more drivers joining in the celebration with Drabick here. Fantastic race all in all. Only the one caution, green flag racing through and through. As Drabick burns it down here, we'll take a quick commercial break. Then we'll be right back here with your post-race coverage.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
Truck Series at Daytona. Hop right into our race results here as Patrick Drabick had the ultimate pit strategy, paid off perfectly for the 07 team, taking home the win here tonight. Followed up by Josh Lokenvitz in the 79 and the 27 of Jacob Elkison takes home that third spot. Michael Kostick, he might have won last time, but it did not play out in his favor tonight, taking home the fourth spot, followed by Mike George in the 29. Jake Ham in the 87 won the last race last year at Darlington. Couldn't put it together here tonight, but a fantastic drive from him. Chance Taylor in the 14 will take home the 7th spot, followed by Jeremy Gardner in the 8th position. Stephen McDonald will take home the 68 and the 9th spot. And last but not least in our top 10 here tonight, Timothy Stubblefield in the 92.
Outside your top 10 tonight is going to be Daniel Cunningham coming home in 11th, George Jewell in 12th in the 36th, and Logan Sturgeon in the 26th and 13th. Jamie Mullins finishes 14th tonight with James Kaufman in 15th. James Goshen finishes 16th with Jesse Nekula in 17th. Tyler Justice in 18th, Levi McCarty in 19th, and Chuck Feltz in 20th.
To bring up the last third of this field, Jonathan Cofield in the 53 will take home the 21st position, followed by Jamie Barkas in the 15. Mike Bertosa in the 43 will take the 23rd spot, followed by Brandon Wallace in the 99 and 24th. Jamie Perkins in 25th, Timothy Peters in 26th, Michael Seymour in 27th. Then our, I don't want to call them disqualifications, but DNFs back here, Matt Knights, David Duke, and Michael McCarthy will be your 28th, 29th, and 30th positions. One caution and 12 lead changes here tonight. But let's roll right into an interview with our race winner, Patrick Drabick. Put the Jam Printing and Promotion truck up here on the top pedestal here tonight. Patrick, how are you feeling about that race? That strategy paid off perfectly.
You damn right we won! Woo!
Peeking out the mic there. Awesome celebration as always, Patrick. That was a fantastic drive from you. Just the 5 laps led, but started out here in 11th and ultimately led the most important lap of the night.
Man, that doesn't happen without some great teammates. Josh Lokovitz tonight was amazing. Jake Ellingson, Jamie Barkas. I mean, it doesn't happen without us 4 lining up, running a little bit longer there, coming down, getting that splash. And then Josh was amazing, just staying locked to my bumper and keeping us in front of that other pack that was catching us. But holy bleepity bleep bleep bleep. What a freaking win.
Yeah, I forgot to install the bleeper after one of the last interviews that we had with you in season 8 there, but thanks for bleeping yourself this time.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, obviously, the pit strategy there, run it as low as on fuel as possible, take the least amount of fuel as possible, and spend the least amount of time in the pit road as possible. And like I said, it played out perfectly for you. But to start out the season with this big win here, we're going to roll into Iowa next week. What are the preparation thoughts for that, and how are you feeling about going through the rest of the season?
What season? There's a season. There's a win tonight here at Daytona. That's what I'm going to talk about, man. What amazing, just amazing, man. We're all getting prepped for the 24 hours of Daytona. Our stint starts in the morning, so that's where the focus is right now with this great team that we've got put together. What an amazing race here tonight. This is why this series, the Operation Valor Truck Series, is the best that we have to offer. One caution here tonight, green flag pit stops, and it still comes down to an amazing finish. But I'm not thinking about anything else, Logan, except for celebrating this damn win tonight.
Hey, I can't say I blame you whatsoever. You know, it just makes sense. You kick off the brand new season with a brand new title sponsor. It's a big time move right there. And you know, after seeing the last couple seasons of all these super speedway races, fantastic to see you put that '07 up here in the winner's circle. Patrick, is there anybody you'd like to say thanks to for your success here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it enough. This team is amazing. And I got some teammates that weren't out here tonight, like Cody McElwain and Ryan Pendleton and Alex Cruz. This team we've got together is amazing. We work well together and we take care of one another, and that's the only way we win these races like we did tonight. So an amazing team. But Lincoln Tech, that has done everything for us, sponsored the fall series and the spring series. We'll be set up with them on here in a couple weeks at the Indianapolis campus, so I cannot wait for that, to get our simulator there at the campus and let the students check it out and all that fun stuff. Save 22 is an amazing organization that has come on board, that is in the fight with us against veteran suicide and mental health issues. They're going to be on our podcast next week on Go Talk Live. So I can't wait to see John Mosier on there as well. And then Operation Valor. Awesome for them to come on board this season. So thanks to Jamie Perkins for that and all that he is doing and all the ventures that he has, not only with Operation Valley, but here in Goat Locker Racing as well. The Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs and the amazing grant that we got, and of course, Jam Printing and Promotions. They've been on the side of every car and every truck that I have had. And it is always exciting to me to park them in victory lane. And then, as you guys have dubbed it, you know, the creamsicle wins another one.
The creamsicle does indeed win another one, putting yourself in a great position to go through the next 9 weeks of this regular season, Patrick. Congratulations, buddy, and we will see you next week. And good luck in the Daytona 24.
Thanks, brother.
We'll move right on along to our second place finisher, who I believe Sky is standing by with.
Yeah, we're standing by. Josh, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
You stayed out a little longer than most other cars in the field, and it worked out to get you to second. So tell me a little more about the strategy there on that last pit stop.
Yeah, the four of us, Pat, Jamie, Jake, and I had all planned on just running it dry from the beginning. Just in case caution came out and somebody else was going down pit road or something, then we'd be out front at least. So that's what we did, and it ended up working out. Plus, take a little bit less fuel that way, and hopefully a little shorter pit stop.
Yeah, I mean, you were so close there at the end. Walk me through your thought process on that last lap and your kind of battle to the line there.
Well, I was actually a little worried. I thought I was going to blow up. I was flashing red when we took the white flag, and I told Pat I'll push you as long as I can until she blows up, then I'll get out the way. But worked out great coming off of 4. The top line opened up, and so well we're teammates to the last lap, and then we'll see how she shakes out from there. So.
Yeah, and looking ahead to next week, we're racing at Iowa. Very different type of racetrack to Daytona. Are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's not my best track, but it's actually about 15 minutes from my house, so I suppose it should be. But we'll see how it goes. I know there's a couple bumps you got to be really careful to avoid, and that can make or break your race, so we'll hope to stay away from them.
All right, anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Yeah, I mean, Jam Printing and Promotions is the title sponsor of the series. They're huge. They've been with Goat Locker since the beginning. Um, the broadcaster, you guys at V Speed, I think this is the only, ironically, um, only vehicle I don't have your guys' logo on. But Alexander PCs for helping out with the donations that we do to all the vets. I mean, that's a huge deal. Maconi Setup Shop, they provide all the setups for us and do some broadcasting for some other series, so that's pretty neat. Glove Station for being on the truck. I know they're a primary sponsor for one of the other series we run as well. And then Farrow's Lead Farm. I mean, if you want to go throw any lead down range, they're the ones to reach out to.
All right, congrats on second place tonight, Josh Lokenvitz.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
While we were talking to him, I believe Logan has caught back up with our third place finisher tonight. That'll be Jake Ellingson.
Absolutely, I have. And man, Jake, I just have to say one thing to start this out. I am so happy to have you up here watching last season, all the adversity that you had faced, all the bad luck that you had, starting out season 9 on the best foot. Well, not quite the best foot, but on a great foot up here in third place. Jake, you had a big move right there at the end where Kostic got a little bit loose on the outside of you. And then obviously Lokenvitz right in front of you, moving up to that outside line in front of Kostic, gave you a little bit of an air pocket there behind Drabic, gave you just enough speed to come across here in third place. Run me through your race, man. Obviously, there's got to be some emotions here after, just all the bad luck you faced last season.
I mean, honestly, the race was kind of boring. I was just kind of, turning laps. And at the end, I was trying to get myself in position, and I was clear to the outside line the last like 5 laps or something. And I thought about jumping up, but I just couldn't leave my teammates. That was the most important thing, is just to at least get a GLR guy, for the win. And then when Josh moved up, trying to snake it for himself, I just came in and just gave Pat the good old bumper to give him that little extra for the win. So I can't be more stoked for Pat to have the win. I'm happy to come away with the third place finish. It's a good feeling considering last season.
Absolutely. And just to give you, obviously you were in car, so you had a great view of it, but just to give you some statistics here, top 3 finished all within 6/100ths of a second there.
Oh, wow.
And then you were only 3/100ths of a second ahead of Kostic on that finish. So it was so tight there coming across the line. You obviously managed to sneak out a third place finish here tonight, but obviously a lot of celebration to get through here for starting off the season this way. So we've got a replay going on right now for all the viewers to see just how close this really was.
Oh, wow.
Jacob, fantastic race here tonight. Looking on through the season, how does this make you feel setting up for it?
And I'm just gonna take one track at a time. When Friday nights come around, just take it, 1 minute in practice at a time. Figure out what I need to do, and then when the race comes around, just settle in and just take it one lap at a time, one car at a time, and see where we finish.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully we'll get you up here for a first place interview at some point this season. But Jake, is there anybody you'd like to say thanks to for putting this car up here in the third place position tonight?
Well, first I got to thank Lincoln Tech for putting their name on this number 27 for the second season in a row. Can't be more thankful to have them on for the fall series again. Jam Printing and Promotions, Operation Valor, coming on board for Friday nights, being the title sponsor. V Speed for you guys, for broadcasting, Tuesday and Friday nights here. Couldn't be happier to have you guys on board again. And then Alexander's PCs for helping give away some of these sim rigs to veterans. And then last but not least, I can't thank my 3 beautiful daughters and my wonderful, beautiful wife for allowing me to have the time to come out and have fun with you guys.
Absolutely. Well, we love being out here and watching it all week after week. Jake, fantastic race. Congratulations. And we will see you at Iowa.
Have a good one.
Jake Ellingson, your third place finisher here tonight. Fantastic race all in all. That's no stranger to the Goat Locker racing crew. We see it week after week here. Green flag runs. The one caution here tonight at Daytona. Never had the big one tonight, Sky. What were your thoughts about this race?
No, not quite. That was a ton of fun at the end. That different pitch strategy really played a huge role in that finish, and it was so much fun. Those last 3 or 4 laps were just kind of peak Daytona racing there. You don't know who's going to win until the very last moment. We saw that tonight. It was a great race, wasn't it, Logan?
It absolutely was. Well, that concludes our post-race coverage here for the Operation Valor Truck Series. For Patrick Drabick, Jamie Barkus, and everyone behind the scenes at Goat Locker Racing, for Adam Baker and Bradley Cooper at V-Speed, our producer tonight, Eddie Smith, and my colleague in the booth, Sky Schreck, my name is Logan Threlkeld. Thank you for watching tonight's broadcast, and we will see you all next week at Iowa.